Hey, day 197, Coffee with Kenny. And I'm traveling today, so I wanted to make a video real quick. Just stopped for some food break, and I was jumping out watching a thunderstorm off to the east. It's wild looking. So I got this question from a young man, a member, just starting out, and he's like, hey Kenny, I just went my first solo, and I was really struggling with keeping track of traffic and my paper charts, and the collective was dropping on me. And he said, he goes, I'm struggling because my instructor wants me to learn with paper charts and all the paper before I start using the iPad, which I think is great. And I think we should still do that as brand new, for brand new students. Still break people in on the sectional charts. I know it's a pain in the butt, but I'm still a believer in we need to have those basic skills of using paper if we have to, and learning to navigate without a GPS, because it's difficult and it's a skill, but boy, it's a good skill when your GPS goes out or doesn't work, or you're flying an older aircraft that doesn't have a GPS. But I think it's good to learn those basic skills, and a thumbs up for his instructor that wants him to do paper before moving into the iPad. And he said, what are some tips for, organizing myself in the cockpit? I know I need practice with it. And I guess the first thing that comes to mind is, sitting in the aircraft, when you got some time alone, hopefully at the flight school he could go in there and practice sitting in there, practice how your kneeboard works. He said in his email, he goes, I didn't have a kneeboard on that trip, and now I've got one. So good for you using a kneeboard. In the beginning, well, a kneeboard's great anytime that you need to keep things organized, but good for you, good for your instructor. Learn the paper charts. Sit in there and practice. So you went on a cross country, you didn't have a kneeboard, now you've got one. So use that. Sit in the aircraft, put it on your leg. You can start playing with the charts and learn how to fold them. And you can fold them just right, so when you do a cross country, you can mark it all out and fold it just right so you can flip it, right? You can easily with one hand slide it out, flip it, and even if you have to do it a couple times. And this can be difficult, right? It's a real pain in the ass using a sectional chart in an aircraft, okay? We know this, but it's still a super valuable skill that I think everybody needs to have. So my advice is go out in the aircraft, get some time when you got 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour, and get in there and put the kneeboard on and practice. When you're using paper stuff, you all really need cross countries is a sectional chart in that little green AFD book. Or supplemental. It's now the chart supplement. Probably even hard to get anymore. But if you want to do the true paper route, you can use a chart in that little AFD or chart supplement book. Will save your butt for $6 or $7. That's all you really need. So again, jump in the aircraft, a little bit of alone time, and just practice with it and figure out left leg, right leg, depending on which aircraft you're flying and which aircraft you're PICing in. I don't know, he didn't say which aircraft he's flying. Doesn't matter. You need to get in and practice. Maybe even have your instructor jump in with you. Again, in the hangar, just laid back environment. And also make sure you learn and get good with all the switches without looking. Make sure, whether you've got carb heat or anything you're doing, collective friction, all these different things, just practice with looking outside and knowing where these things are at. And one of the guys that taught me a lot of stuff early on that I mention quite often, he kind of spanked me in the beginning when I got one of those checkouts right. And he's like, you need to learn this stuff. You need to go out there and sit in the helicopter and practice. And he was right. He goes, go out there and learn and know exactly where everything is. Frictions, carb heat, and the different things that you're going to be maneuvering with. Learn how to get your hand to most of those so that you can be looking outside, focusing on your flying, and you're not looking down over here. You're not looking down over there. You're not looking down over here. Learn those things and get good with those movements with practice. Sitting in the hangar when it's not costing you $300 an hour or $400 an hour. You can do it in a laid back fashion, by yourself. And the same thing like with going through checklists. You can learn your startup and shutdown. You can learn a lot by going out in the aircraft and just sitting there and practicing and going through the checklist and doing kind of a pretend startup. You're not actually going to start the engine, but keep the battery off so you don't run the battery down, but go through the motions and play with the buttons and switches. So for this young man, you're going to get better at it. Everybody has struggled with that in the beginning where you're struggling with everything you got going on. It's a learned skill. Continue to work with your instructor. I love the fact that he wants you to do paper first. I know, for you that hate paper, it's still a good skill to have and a good skill to start out with. learn those basic skills with paper. And then yes, the iPad is freaking awesome, and the iPad can do so much, and it's a fantastic tool. Not saying it's bad, I'm just saying I still think for initial training, we all need to know how to use charts. You know, even flying EMS, they come out and said, guys, you know, in this day and age of GPSs, it's all great, but you're all commercial pilots. Do not lose your good VFR skills of flying without electronics. They go, because, you know, things happen, satellites go down, and we're still going to be flying, especially in emergency situations. So do not let your VFR skills, the old skills of charts and E6Bs and using your head, not just following a line, you know, being able to do a diversion, being able to compute in your mind fuel, being able to compute a diversion, find a heading. You know, the new world we live in, technology is great. It's awesome. And we all love it, right? But you can't totally 100% rely on that. So again, I'm going to wrap it up so I can get moving on down the road. Day 197, I think. I'm pretty sure. I haven't been on YouTube today. Got to get rolling. So day 197, tomorrow will be day 198. Click the subscribe button, and when you do, click that little bell. You'll be notified of our daily Coffee with Kenny videos. Training, check rides, failures, successes. We're covering it all. Lots of great content every single day. And you can go down below to try our private commercial CFI or instrument courses. We have a 24-hour test flight on all of those courses for the monthly or yearly options. And then, separate from the monthly and yearly packages, we have a big professional pilot package. Private commercial CFI, instrument, all those courses together. Doesn't expire. That's called the professional pilot course. That gives you everything, and it's not monthly, it's not yearly, it never expires. Will always be there for you. It has a 30-day money-back, no-hassle guarantee, as in all of our training that we've had going on 7.5 years now. We'll soon be calling it 8 years online. Great success. Throwing out a code for that, KK25 off. Put that in the coupon box down at the checkout, and it'll reveal the 25% price. Pretty good deal on that big professional pilot package. So remember, 30-day money-back, no-hassle guarantee. Like, subscribe, click that little bell when you do. Leave your comments down below. And we'll see you in day 198. Peace out.